I speak to you in the name of God, Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. Today's lesson from Kings contains a beautifully holy image. We get to see this intimate conversation between King Solomon and God. This is one of those times where Solomon gets it exactly right. He's having a good day. He nails it. Our story picks up today after the death of King David, after Solomon's ascension to the throne as the king of Israel, and God appears to Solomon in a dream. Now, I have to tell you, I love that this dream was recorded. I love that we get to know about it at all. I mean, this is an intimate conversation between God and Solomon, and somehow the story got told and told, and it got written down. And today, in 2018, we get to hear it. In this dream, God asked Solomon, "Ask what I should give you." And Solomon replies. He begins with remembering God's great and steadfast love, both for his father David and also for himself. Solomon continues, and he realizes his place in his relationship with God. He realizes he is the king of the chosen people of Israel, and he humbly asks God, "Give your servant, therefore, an understanding mind to govern your people, able to discern between good and evil, for who can govern this your great people?" Notice that Solomon recognizes that the people are God's people. He says, your people. They aren't Solomon's people. They're God's people. And that he also realizes that he, Solomon, belongs to God. He says that he is your servant, God's servant. He doesn't belong to himself. The "your" in these phrases refers to God, not to Solomon. Solomon is asking for the wisdom to govern God's people, not his. He recognizes that he is the servant of God. Solomon understands his role with God and his need to remain steadfast and faithful to God. Y'all, Solomon is having a good day. He recognizes that his faith in God is more important than power or money or long life, but it is his faithfulness to govern God's people. That is why he is asking for the wisdom to govern God's people. It's not so much that he was smart enough to ask for wisdom, but he was smart enough to ask for the wisdom to govern God's people that makes this so special. God replies, "Because you have asked for this and have not asked for yourself long life or riches, or for the life of your enemies, but have asked for yourself according to understand, to discern what is right, I now do according to your word." Because Solomon asked to discern what is right for God's people, Solomon is going to get what he asked for, and much more. God continues, "Indeed, I give you a wise and discerning mind. No one like you has been before you, and no one like you shall arise after you. I give you also what you have not asked, both riches and honor all your life. No other king shall compare to you." God is going to give Solomon that wise and discerning mind, but he is also going to give Solomon riches and honor and even long life if he's willing to stay faithful to God. I love this text because we get to see Solomon on a good day. We get to see Solomon when he is on one of his very best days. He gets to talk with God in a dream, and he is given more than he could have asked or imagined. And someone recorded the story so that we get to hear about it now. We can know about Solomon's faithfulness to God, and that is why he is given such wisdom. Now, you and I both know that Solomon had good days and bad days. Solomon, there are times when he made such wise choices, when he dispenses God's wisdom. Solomon, he is the king that unites Israel. He builds the great temple in Jerusalem. But Solomon is also the king who loses his faith in God sometimes. He seems to have more faith in himself than God at times. Solomon took many wives and concubines. He built temples to his wife's gods. Solomon did not stay faithful to the God of Israel. He did not always remember that the people of Israel belonged to God and not to Solomon. He also didn't remember that he belonged to God. Solomon had great victories, but he also had great failures during his time as king. Solomon, like all of us, had good days and bad days. He had times of faithfulness and times of distance from God. That is why I'm so thankful that this story is recorded. Even on Solomon's worst days, he had a chance to go back to this story and remember that closeness with God. He could remember God's faithful and steadfast love for him and hopefully renew his own faithfulness to the God of Israel. Aren't we all just a little bit like Solomon? Don't we all have good days and bad days? Times that are easier and times that are harder? Times when we need encouragement and times when we need to remember our connection to God. I know I do. I have good days and bad days, and I bet you do too. For me, I'm a journaler. I love to write down my prayers, places where I see God in the everyday world, things when they are good, things when they are not. When I need a little pick-me-up, I can go back to my journals, and I can go back and see the moments of my own faithfulness to God and God's faithfulness to me. I commend this practice to you. What could you do to remember the good times? Could you journal? Maybe pick up a memento, a rock from that special place and keep it with you. Or maybe just keep a file of nice notes that people write to you. What can you do to remember the good times? What practices can you put in place to record the good times in your life? The times where God's faithfulness is obvious to you. I pray that you can cherish the good times and use them to buoy you up during the harder times. As for me, I've gone through 3 journals in these 6 months that I've been here with you at Christ Church Rye. 3 of them. 3 journals, mostly full of times of God's faithfulness, times of my faithfulness, times when it was hard, times when it was good. And it is pretty great to go back and look at these marvelous things that God has done, to marvel with you at God's glory in these past 6 months. It's been a treat for me to get to be here with you all these past 6 months, to see such a good time in your life as a parish. I've witnessed you saying goodbye to Bob, who you raised up for ministry, and then he got to come back and be your interim. I had the joy of being here at your first worship service with Kate. The energy in the room was so full of the Holy Spirit, you could feel it. It was palpable. The same was true for Easter, for Pentecost, for her institution, for all the graces that we've had in the garden. There is faithfulness and electricity to you as a parish, and it is captivating. Cherish this feeling. Record it in some way. Thank God for the good times in your life. And also, I know that there are ebbs and flows to life, and I pray that you will remember your faithfulness to God and the energy, the vibrancy of this time throughout the years ahead. As things get easier, wonderful, and as they get harder, to cling to this faithfulness. Remember your good days, as Solomon gets the opportunity to. You are an amazing congregation. I have been blessed by your faithfulness and your loving kindness. I will cherish you all in my heart, and I will remember you as a time when I was lucky enough to land in just the right situation, lucky enough to have a really good day, lucky enough to bask in your faithfulness, and notice the wonderful work of God in all our lives. Thank you. Amen.